I woke up on my 18th birthday with this feeling in my chest that something big was about to begin. The morning sun came through my window, warm and bright, and I remember thinking this was it. The day I officially became an adult. I expected maybe some pancakes downstairs, a card from my mom, perhaps even a handshake from Frank, my stepfather. Instead, what I got was silence. The house felt heavy when I walked down those stairs. Frank sat at the kitchen table with a face carved from stone, and my mom would not even look at me. I had no clue that within the next hour my entire world would shatter. Because the real gift I received that day was not freedom or celebration. It was betrayal. Before we dive into what happened next, I need to know where you are watching from. Seriously, drop your location in the comments. And if you have ever been blindsided by the people closest to you, go ahead and smash that like button right now. Hit subscribe too, because what I am about to tell you involves a twist that nobody saw coming, least of all me. This is not just a story about getting kicked out. This is about discovering who really held the power all along. So stick with me here. Let me give you some background first. My father, David, was not just my dad. He was my hero. The guy built things for a living. He was an architect, spent his days designing buildings, and his evenings teaching me how to throw a baseball. I was 10 years old when a truck ran a red light and took him from us. One second he was driving home from a job site. The next second he was gone. I remember standing at his funeral in a suit that was too big, listening to people say how sorry they were, and thinking that sorry does not fix anything. My mom, Linda, she sort of shut down after that. For 2 whole years she barely smiled. Then she met Frank at some charity dinner. Frank worked in sales, always knew what to say, always confident. When he started coming around, I actually felt hopeful. He would shoot hoops with me. He asked about my homework. He made my mom laugh for the first time since Dad died. I thought maybe this could work. Maybe we could be something like a family again. Frank moved in when I was 12. That first year, things seemed okay. But then slowly the attention he gave me started fading. He stopped asking about school. He started pointing out everything I did wrong. The way I folded laundry. The way I left dishes in the sink. He called it tough love. My mom never said a word when he criticized me. She would just turn away like she did not want to get involved. I told myself it was normal. Stepfathers are supposed to be tough, right? But something always felt off. Fast forward to the morning of my 18th birthday. I woke up at 7 a.m., feeling this buzz of excitement. Last year, Frank had given me $50 and said, "Next year you will be a real man." So I figured maybe today would be special. Maybe we could talk about my future. I had gotten a partial scholarship to community college, but I still needed help with books and other expenses. I was nervous, but I was ready to ask. When I came downstairs, the first thing I noticed was how quiet everything was. No coffee brewing. No TV playing in the background. Frank sat at the kitchen table gripping a coffee mug, his expression blank. My mom stood by the sink, staring out the window, like she was somewhere else entirely. I tried to smile. "Morning," I said. "I thought maybe we could sit down." Frank cut me off. "We need to talk." His tone made my stomach drop. There was no warmth in it. No birthday greeting. I pulled out a chair and sat, my hands already starting to shake. I glanced at my mom, but she refused to look at me. "You are 18 now," Frank said, staring straight at me. "An adult." I nodded, thinking this was going to be some speech about taking on more responsibility around the house. "I have taken care of you long enough," he continued. "Fed you, kept a roof over your head, paid for all your stuff." I felt my throat tighten. What was he getting at? "It is time you stand on your own 2 feet. You need to move out." The words hit me like a sledgehammer. Move out today. My birthday, I turned to my mom, desperate. "Mom." She finally looked at me, and there was no softness in her eyes. "Frank is right," she said. "You need to grow up. Stop being so dependent on us." I could not believe what I was hearing. "But I am starting college in the fall," I said. I got that scholarship. That is your problem, not mine. Frank interrupted. I am done. I will get a job, I said quickly. I will pay rent. Just give me a little time. You have had 18 years, Frank said. Time is up. I looked back at my mom. She was staring at the floor now. We have made our decision, she said quietly. The room felt like it was closing in on me. I could not understand why this was happening. Why today Frank leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. You have until the end of the day. Pack your things and go. Where am I supposed to go? My voice cracked when I said it. Frank shrugged like it was the simplest thing in the world. You are an adult now. Figure it out. My mom added, maybe this will teach you what real life is like. There was no pity in her voice, no hesitation. I realized then that nothing I could say would change their minds. I stood up my legs, feeling weak, and walked upstairs without another word. When I got to my room, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the walls. This room had been mine for 8 years. The posters. The desk my dad helped me build. Why was this happening? I looked at the framed photo of my dad on my nightstand, David Carter, smiling in his work boots and hard hat. I remembered something he said once. This house is for you and your mom. Always. I did not understand what he meant back then. But now I wondered if the house was supposed to be for us. Why did Frank have the authority to kick me out? I did not have time to dwell on it. I grabbed my backpack and started stuffing clothes into it. Jeans, shirts, my laptop, a few books. Then I called Tyler, my best friend, since middle school. When I told him what happened, he went silent for a few seconds. Then he said I could stay at his place for a bit. I had no other option. By late afternoon, I hauled my backpack down the stairs. Frank was on the couch watching a game on TV. He did not even turn his head. Linda stood in the hallway with her arms crossed. Her eyes were red, but she said nothing. I stopped in front of her. Mom, are you really okay with this? She looked away. Just go, Jed. Her voice wavered, but the message was clear. I opened the front door and stepped out into the fading daylight. The sound of that door closing behind me felt final. I walked 2 miles to Tyler's house, my backpack digging into my shoulders. The sun was setting and people passing by stared at this kid, lugging all his belongings down the street. I felt humiliated, alone. This was supposed to be a day of celebration. Instead, it was the day I lost my home. Tyler's family tried to make me feel welcome, but their house was cramped. I slept on the couch in their living room. Every night I lay there feeling like I was taking up space that was not mine. I applied for jobs everywhere. Fast food, retail, gas stations. Most places turned me down because I had 0 work experience. Finally, a little diner hired me to wash dishes in the back. $7 per hour. I worked the evening shift, coming home late, smelling like grease and detergent. I kept thinking about that scholarship. It covered tuition. But what about books? What about fees? I could not afford my own apartment. I was stuck. Lying on that couch at night, my mind would not stop running. Why did Frank do this? Did he resent me from the start? And my mom? Why did she go along with it? Did she really see me as some kind of burden all those years? Part of me wanted to call and beg to come back, but my pride would not let me. What I missed most was not Frank, or even my mom. It was the house itself. That house held every memory I had of my dad. Being forced out felt like losing him all over again. 3 weeks after I left, Tyler handed me an envelope that had been forwarded to his address. The return label said, Harrison and Associates Law Firm. I stared at it, confused. Why would a lawyer be contacting me? I tore it open. Dear Mr. Jed Carter, regarding the estate of David Carter. The letter said Mr. Harrison wanted to meet with me about matters of inheritance. I did not understand. My dad had been dead for 8 years. Why was this coming up now? I called the number on the letterhead. Mr. Harrison answered with a kind voice. It is important, son, he said. Come see me as soon as you can. I scheduled an appointment for the next afternoon. I felt a mix of curiosity and dread. The law office was nicer than anywhere I had been in a long time. Dark wood furniture, leather chairs. I felt out of place in my faded jeans and wrinkled shirt. Mr. Harrison was an older gentleman with white hair and soft eyes. He shook my hand firmly. "Jed, I have been trying to reach you for weeks. Your mother did not pass on my messages." I shook my head. "I have not gotten any messages." He let out a long breath. I had a feeling that was the case. He opened a thick file on his desk. "Your father David was very thorough with his estate planning. He left specific instructions about what should happen when you turned 18. My heart started pounding. I leaned forward. "Your father owned that house outright," Mr. Harrison said. "He paid off the mortgage completely before he passed. In his will, he placed the house in a trust for you. Your mother had the right to live there and maintain it, but the house itself belongs to you. On your 18th birthday, full ownership transferred to your name." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "I own the house." "Yes," he said, nodding slowly. "You are the legal owner. You have been for 3 weeks now. Your mother and this Frank person, they are living in your house." The realization crashed over me like a wave. Frank had kicked me out of my own house. My house. And my mom. Did she know? She had to have known. I left that office in a fog. On the bus ride back to Tyler's place, I pressed my forehead against the window and let the tears come. I was not just hurt anymore. I was furious. They had lied to me. My mom had stood by and let Frank throw me out of the house that my father left to me. The house that was supposed to protect me. Why did no one tell me? When I got back to Tyler's, I sat on that couch for over an hour just staring at the wall. Then I made my decision. I could not let Frank stay in my house. I could not let my mom pretend like she had done nothing wrong. This was not about getting revenge. This was about standing up for what was mine. About justice. I called Mr. Harrison back. "What do I need to do to take possession? I will draw up the paperwork," he said. "But Jed, are you absolutely sure you want to do this?" I did not hesitate. "Yes, I am sure." The following week, Mr. Harrison and I worked on getting everything ready. He showed me the title deed with my name on it. He showed me my father's will clear as day. "The house goes to Jed Carter." Mr. Harrison explained that my mom had something called usufruct rights, which meant she could live there, but she did not own it. Frank had no legal claim to the property at all. None. We prepared an official eviction notice for Frank. As for my mom, I told Mr. Harrison she could stay if she wanted, but things were going to be different. Even though I was angry, she was still my mother. I was not going to make her homeless. I did not feel victorious putting all this together. I felt sad. Sad that it had come to this. But Frank and my mom had made their choice. They had pushed me into this corner. I remembered something my dad used to tell me when I was little. Always stand up for what is right, even when it is hard. This was one of those times. I was not going to let anyone treat me like I was worthless. 4 weeks after being thrown out, I went back to the house. It was a Saturday afternoon. Mr. Harrison came with me, and so did a police officer, just to make sure things stayed civil. My stomach was in knots as we walked up to the front door. I knocked. A few seconds later, Frank opened it, and his face went pale. "What the hell are you doing here?" I kept my voice steady. "I live here. This is my house." Frank laughed, but it sounded forced. "Your house. Get out of here before I call the cops." I nodded toward the officer standing behind me. "They are already here." Mr. Harrison stepped forward and handed Frank a stack of papers. "Mr. Frank Thompson. I am Attorney Harrison. This property legally belongs to Jed Carter. These documents prove it." Frank's hands shook as he read through the pages. His face went from pale to red. Linda came rushing out from the kitchen. "What is going on?" When she saw me standing there, she froze. "Mom," I said, my voice harder than I intended. "Did you know? Did you know?" Dad left this house to me. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The police officer spoke up. Ma'am, were you aware of the contents of your late husband's will? Linda nodded slowly, her eyes filling with tears. I knew. Those 2 words broke something inside me. You knew, I repeated. And you let him kick me out anyway. She started crying. Frank said it would be good for you. He said you needed to learn how to be independent. So you let him throw me out of my own house. The house my father left for me, Frank tried to cut in. Listen, kid, I was trying to toughen you up. Make you a man. You have got to understand. By lying to me, by making me homeless on my birthday. You are blowing this out of proportion, Frank said. We were going to tell you eventually. Mr. Harrison's voice was calm but firm. Mr. Thompson, you have 72 hours to remove yourself and your belongings from this property. Frank's face twisted with anger. You cannot do this. I have lived here for years. The officer stepped closer. Sir, this is a lawful eviction. You need to comply. Frank turned to Linda, desperation creeping into his voice. Linda, do something. Say something. But my mom just stood there, tears streaming down her face, saying nothing. I did not stay at the house during those 3 days. I went back to Tyler's couch and waited. Frank tried calling me. His voice on the phone was desperate, almost pathetic. Come on, Jed. Where am I supposed to go? I kept my tone even. You are an adult. Figure it out. Those were his exact words to me, and I threw them right back at him. Then my mom called. Please, Jed. He just needs a little more time. He gave me 0 time, I said. He gets 72 hours. That is more than he gave me. She started to argue, but I hung up. My voice had been cold, but inside I felt hollow. On the 3rd day, I returned to the house with Mr. Harrison. Frank's pickup truck was parked in the driveway, loaded with boxes and trash bags full of his stuff. He was standing by the driver's door, his face flushed and angry. You are making a huge mistake, he said. The only mistake I made was trusting you, I replied. Frank got into his truck, slammed the door hard enough to shake the whole vehicle and drove off. The sound of his engine faded down the street. Linda stood on the front porch, her arms wrapped around herself, crying quietly. I walked past her and into the house. It felt empty, hollow. I had won, but it did not feel like a victory. It felt like loss. After a few minutes, Linda came inside and sat down on the couch in the living room. Jed, I am so sorry, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I was weak. I should have stood up for you. You chose him over me, I said. Your own son. He convinced me it was the right thing to do, she said. He said it would make you stronger. I believed him. You believed him more than you loved me. She had no answer for that. The silence stretched between us. Finally, I took a deep breath. You can stay here, Mom, I said. But things are going to be different now. She looked up at me, hope flickering in her eyes. What do you mean? You pay rent, I said. Not a lot, but enough to cover the utilities. And you need to understand that this is my house. Not yours. Not Frank's. Mine. And you need to think long and hard about why you let someone treat your son the way Frank treated me. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I understand. Thank you for letting me stay. You are still my mom, I said. But I cannot just forget what happened. I know, she whispered. I do not expect you to. I moved back into my bedroom that same week. I repainted the walls a deep blue, my favorite color. I bought a new desk and a used bookshelf with money I had saved from the diner. I wanted the space to feel like mine again, not like the room of the kid who got thrown out. I kept working my dishwashing job and enrolled in classes at the community college. My mom stayed in her room most of the time. She paid rent every month without complaint. Our conversations were short and polite, but there was a distance between us that had not been there before. Sometimes I would catch her staring at me from across the room, and I could see the regret in her eyes. But regret does not erase what happened. For the first few months, I was still angry. I would lie in bed at night replaying the whole thing over and over. The look on Frank's face when he told me to leave. The sound of my mom's voice when she agreed with him. The feeling of walking down the street with everything I owned in a backpack. It ate at me. Tyler noticed. One night he said, "Man, you did what you had to do, but you cannot let this bitterness consume you." He was right. I started seeing a counselor at school. She helped me work through a lot of it. She taught me that setting boundaries is not selfish. Standing up for yourself is not cruel. It is necessary. Slowly, I started to feel lighter. The anger did not disappear, but it stopped controlling me. One afternoon, I was looking for old textbooks in the attic when I found a cardboard box I had never seen before. It was taped shut and labeled David's personal items in my mom's handwriting. I brought it down to my room and opened it. Inside were my dad's architectural sketches, his notebooks filled with drawings and measurements, and a stack of letters tied together with string. At the bottom of the box was an envelope with my name on it. My hands shook as I opened it. "Dear Jed," the letter began, "if you are reading this, it means I am no longer with you. I wish I could be there to see the man you will become, but life does not always go the way we plan. I want you to know that this house is yours. I built it with my own hands, and I paid off every cent of the mortgage before I died. This house represents stability, safety, a foundation for your future. Your mother will take care of it until you are ready, and when you turn 18, it becomes fully yours. Stand strong, son. Do not let anyone push you around. Make your own path in this world. I am so proud of you. Love, Dad." I sat there holding that letter and cried harder than I had in years. My father had thought of everything. He had protected me even after he was gone. He had given me a foundation, just like he said. And in that moment I felt closer to him than I had since the day he died. Looking through his sketches and notes, I made a decision. I changed my major from undecided to architecture. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I wanted to build things the way he did. Every day I spent in that house, I felt his presence. I felt like he was still watching over me, still guiding me. The house was more than just walls and a roof. It was his legacy, and I was going to honor it. A year passed. I turned 19. I was halfway through my second year of college, and my grades were solid. My relationship with my mom had improved a little. We were not close like we used to be, but we were civil. She apologized more times than I could count. I accepted her apologies, but I did not forget what she had done. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Frank never tried to contact us again. He vanished from our lives completely. Sometimes I thought about him. I was not angry anymore. Mostly I just felt sad. Sad that he chose power over connection. Sad that he could have been part of something good, but he threw it away. Through all of this, I learned some hard truths. Family does not always mean loyalty. Sometimes the people closest to you will hurt you the most, and when that happens, you have to protect yourself. But protecting yourself does not mean becoming hateful. You can set boundaries and still have compassion. Real strength is not about enduring pain silently. Real strength is about standing up and saying, "No, this is not okay." My father understood that. He gave me a foundation so I would always have somewhere to stand, and I was not going to let anyone take that from me. People have asked me if I regret what I did, if I regret kicking Frank out or making my mom pay rent. The answer is no. I do not regret it. Not because I wanted revenge, not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I learned that standing up for yourself is not selfish. It is survival. My dad built that house with his own hands. He left it to me as a promise that I would always have a place to belong. I was not going to let anyone strip that away from me. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. Sometimes the people you trust most will let you down. And when that happens, it does not mean you are unworthy of love or loyalty. It means they failed to see your worth. Stand firm on your own foundation. Protect what is yours, not with hatred, but with dignity and strength. Remember that growing up is not about being forced out into the world. It is about choosing when and how you step into it. It is about knowing your value and refusing to let anyone diminish it. So now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to stand up to someone you loved? Have you ever discovered a truth that turned your whole world upside down? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know I am not alone in this. If my story hit home for you, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more real stories about real struggles. And please share this video with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to set boundaries even with family. Thank you for sticking with me through this whole thing. I hope my story gives you the courage to stand up for yourself when you need to. Take care of yourselves out there. You are worth fighting for. You really are.